Hello, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be tier ranking all 100 of the Kindle Unlimited books that I read this year. I've done this video 2 years in a row, I believe. This will be my 3rd year doing it, and this is by far the most amount of books that I have read from Kindle Unlimited in a single year. You know what? I am proud of that. I am proud that I am supporting primarily indie authors. I'm, for one, quite hyped about this. I feel like it's fun to reflect and fun to, I guess, maybe consider the value of Kindle Unlimited. I personally think the value is endless, but maybe you could be the judge of that after we tier rank all these books. I kind of switched the format up this year in terms of the tier ranker, tier creator. The bottom tier this year is going to be forgettable and DNFs because you know what? There's a lot of shit that I just don't remember reading this year. Why wax poetic about stuff that I barely fucking remember, right? This is going to be long enough as it is, and I am going to put shit in that category with swiftness. Everything else looks, you know, pretty similar to like tier ranking videos I think you've seen in the past. So without further ado, let's get motherfucking tier ranking, okay? Starting off real strong. We got The Black Swan Affair by K.L. Krieg. I just bitched about this in my November wrap up if you want to go hear me talk about this book in depth, but this is a love triangle romance, which I like to think that love triangles hit hard. However, this one, was a bit of a fail. This woman decides that she's going to marry the love of her life's brother, and the love of her life is going to marry her sister. And so that obviously creates chaos, and I was like all for it, you know, like maybe this is gonna be deeply romantic. It wasn't. It was pure chaos. It was not sexy, and the nickname Mavericky is really what was the nail in the coffin for me. This is easily C tier. If there was a tier below C, this book would be there, but there isn't. So starting off strong. Continuing on with the theme of love triangle romances, let's grab all of them. Fuck it. Let's do it. There's a lot here because I just did a video talking about these. So we don't need to talk about them too long, right? I just did a whole vlog on these love triangle romances, and what I found is that they don't fucking work, except for this one right here. What He Doesn't Know by Candy Steiner is like an A+ example of what a love triangle romance can be, right? Two convincing heroes and a heroine in between the two of them who's growing in her decision whenever she is like trying to figure out who she should end up with. I fucking love this book. I love this duet. I reread it for the love triangle video. Sad to report none of the other books worked out, but that's okay. Serenading Heartbreak was also fucking terrible. Putting this in C tier. Again, would be lower if it could be. This one is about a chick who ends up banging her brother's best friend, who is like the lead singer of her brother's band, and he is just a piece of shit, like a piece of hot garbage. And she keeps going back to him over and over again, because of course, why wouldn't she? Instead of moving on with her college sweetheart, who is a really successful baseball player and who has like a heart of gold. That would be too simple and too easy. She gets knocked up by the piece of shit. They have a baby together. So anyway, Transcend by Julianne. I'm gonna put this in B tier. This was fine. This like was not offensive. That's kind of how I felt about Gravity by Sarah Kate as well. These books were fine, and that's all they were, you know? Transcend is this sort of like weird, this woman's reincarnated and like reminds me of the chick I used to like dream about when I was 15 kind of thing. And so this guy who she's standing for is like, oh my god, you're my Daisy. And she's like, no, I'm not. And I don't think she ends up with him, but it's a love triangle nonetheless. And then with Gravity, she's banging a guy she's always had a crush on and his dad. So like, it should have been more fun than it was, okay? It was sexy, and I don't necessarily not recommend it, but I don't think you're gonna gain anything super great from it. I think Sarah Kate's writing has come a long way. Oh, The Worst Best Man by Lucy Score. This is a DNF. I have not had luck with Lucy Score books to this day. I want to be that girl, okay? And I know it may seem disingenuous from someone who bitches a lot about books, especially about extremely popular books, but I can't express how much I want to be that girl who likes the popular things, and I just don't vibe with Lucy Score's books. This guy was kind of a dick, is all I can really remember. So forget about him, okay? Kind of just like I'm gonna forget about Fractured Sky by Catherine Cowles. Again, another author that I tried this year, haven't had any luck with. Her stories are simultaneously emotional and unhinged. I just think romantic suspense is a genre that I can't get behind. I don't really want to be scared and then horny. It's not a combination that works for me. And right under Fractured Sky, I also see another book that was forgettable that I can't remember. And I think I read the other book in this duology too. Where it is, I don't know. We'll find it some other time. Champagne Venom, God, if I remember. I've tried, again, a few Nicole Fox books and just haven't had the best luck. I think this one was okay, but the duet was basically just them banging and banging and banging and banging. And if there's a running theme of this year, it is that I'm banged out, okay? Never thought I'd say it, but I think I am. I am. Give me a chastity belt, okay? I'm sick of it. I'm frankly sick of all these books that are just so smut-centric and that just really don't care about the romance anymore. And I sound like a fucking fuddy-duddy. I know I do. I know someone out there has the same feelings that I do, right? I didn't DNF. I just like forgot about this book. I read this earlier this year for, I believe, a video where I read like the top 20 books in the Kindle Unlimited store for romance. So, you know, I read it. Been there, done that. Don't remember it. Breakaway by Grace Riley. I think this is the Loads of Cum book. I can explain. I like Grace Riley's writing. I think she's really fun, but she really goes there with the smut, and that could work or not work for you. I think she does a pretty decent job at her romances and getting the characters to feel believable in terms of like them ending up together, but I just feel like the sex is a lot. It's a lot for me. And again, I think I'm just getting old. Am I just getting old? This was not my favorite. I'm C-tiering this, which feels a little unkind to be putting it in the same category as Black Swan Affair and Serenading Heartbreak, but like I've read other books by her that I've enjoyed, so I feel like that's not that bad. I'm not gonna overthink it. Layla by Colleen Hoover was one of the worst things that I've read this year, okay? Like, no, no. Medicine Man by Saffron A. Kent. Wow, this one, Saffron A. Kent, if you don't know, writes for like the Lana Del Rey set, the older man that you definitely shouldn't be with kind of vibes, you know? I believe in this one, she falls for her psychiatrist. And sadly, I don't remember hating it. No, this is B tier. I was gonna say without conscience, but I am without conscience, you know what I mean? With good conscience, I'm gonna put it in B tier. Fuck it. Hooked by Emily McIntyre. I don't know what it is about the cum this video. I need to stop saying that word, but Hooked is supposed to be like a modern reimagining of Peter Pan. Basically, Captain Hook gets with Wendy, and Wendy's father is Peter, and Captain Hook is just like loading her up like a Twinkie and just thinking about her dad the entire time and how he wants to kill her dad. And I just, again, that's like not the foundation of a good relationship. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's on me. But this is a C tier read for me. Just not it. And a lot of y'all convinced me in my November wrap up that I need to give this author a second chance. And you know what? You might have convinced me. Leave in the comments down below if you like have any good recs from this author or like other books in this series that you really liked, but Hooked wasn't it for me. Just like, or in the likely event wise, I don't like military romances. Leave it at that, okay? Oh, I lied. Did she lie? Okay, Pucking Around I actually haven't read yet, okay, but I have DNF'd for one reason or another. I DNF'd Pucking Around a while ago because I just didn't love it, and I'm actually going to reread this tomorrow, so I'm gonna leave it in this category for now, but it's subject to change, you know? This could be amazing. It could be an S tier fucking why choose novel, which is unlikely, but you know, the options are open. It could happen. Right Man, Right Time by Megan Quinn. I thought this was actually pretty cute. I enjoyed this romance. I think Megan Quinn is proving herself to be a more versatile author than I give her credit for. I've had some really bad luck with her romances in the past that have really not worked, but I think she is getting better about her third act breakups, which is really important to me. And I don't remember much about this book, but I do remember it being cute. I think I remember the opening to this book. The heroine is younger than here. I think it's an age gap romance, and she ends up meeting him at a bar and like convincing him to fake date her, but she also gives him a really hard time for being old. And he's like a famous hockey player, and I don't think she realizes that. And you know what? B tier. Super cute, actually. I mean, it's not up there with like what he doesn't know. Like it wasn't a 4-star, 5-star read, but like it was fine. It was perfectly serviceable, and I think like if you pick up any of Megan Quinn's books in this particular series, I think you'll have a pretty good time. Most of the ones that I have read in the series or have reviewed or like seen reviews of have been good. So I think you're in safe hands. This Summer We Fell by Elizabeth O'Rourke, and I want to go ahead and grab the other one. Why are there so many books on this fucking list? Let me see. The Summer I Saved You. Wow. I did not remember the title of that book. The Summer We Fell I thought was fine. It's a love triangle romance. I love a good love triangle romance, as is evidenced by what he doesn't know. This one, I think, I don't know, it was good. I don't think it had the typical Elizabeth O'Rourke flair, which is a real emphasis on why these two should be together and on their romantic relationship development. Really, the tension was built here because these two characters couldn't get together, right? Like she had a boyfriend and he has been pining for her kind of thing, and like vice versa. And I think it's her boyfriend's best friend or something like that. Boyfriend's best friend romance. I don't know. I don't know whether to put this in A or B tier. Frankly, I didn't love this romance. Like I didn't love it. I think I gave this one 3 stars, so I feel okay putting this in B tier. The Summer I Saved You, I really actively did not like. I like the idea of a single parent romance, but there was too much emphasis on the man she was divorcing and not enough emphasis on the man that she was getting into a relationship with. And that's a damn shame, because who the fuck cares about, I don't want to say who cares about a marriage failing. As a reader, I didn't care. And I wanted her to just like have more page time with the guy she was gonna end up with. That just makes sense, right? Kind of a bummer. I love Elizabeth O'Rourke. I'm hoping the 3rd book in the series turns out to be better, but who needs to wax poetic? This was really the year of Elsie Silver for me, and if I'm being 100% honest with myself, I can't tell some of her books apart, and like I can't remember which ones were like more favorite than others. I read A False Start, Off to the Races, Reckless, Powerless, and also Hopeless. Alright, found Hopeless, also found The Front Runner. Wow, looking at these, I'm like, what the fuck is what? I don't know. I literally don't know. I've read all of these. They were all fabulous. I have not, I think, to this point, given Elsie Silver anything less than 4 stars. She is that bitch, you know? She knows how to write a good yeehaw, write a cowboy romance, and I'm excited to read more from her in the future that is not write a cowboy kind of romance. Let's do Reckless, Powerless, Hopeless first, because I do remember these. I'm gonna put Reckless and Powerless in A tier. Both of these I enjoyed. Both of these gave 4 stars too. We've got accidental pregnancy novel in Reckless, and then with Powerless it is a childhood best friends to lovers sort of thing. I liked both of them. I thought both of them were really cute and charming, but neither of them really knocked me off my feet. Hopeless did. Hopeless is an S tier novel for me, which I think is an unpopular opinion. It seems friends. Like, Powerless is the one that people tend to like the most. And I get it, because I love a good friends to lovers romance. You'd think it'd be my favorite, but there's something about Hopeless. There's something about this age gap romance, this like fake fiance situation, how vocal the heroine is about her sexual desires, that just gets me every time. I can't wait to revisit this novel, and it is reminiscent of some of the books in this series over here, the Gold Rush Ranch series. I feel like the relationship dynamics in Hopeless are similar to, I think it's A False Start. Yes, best friend's little sister. I don't know what it is. Elsie Silver writes the fuck out of an age gap romance, lest we forget Heartless, which I think is like everybody's favorite Elsie Silver book. I think mine is still a photo finish, but A False Start was really excellent as well, and it follows one of my favorite heroines of Elsie's. I think she's like a little bit down on her luck almost. I think the heroines in Hopeless and A False Start are pretty similar, so I like both of those quite a bit and would recommend. The Front Runner, also a 5-star banger. This is I was gonna say reverse Grumpy Sunshine, not really. He's like misunderstood and he's kind of the villain from another book. She is the town veterinarian, and so she like helps him with a horse that they're rehabbing together, and like this is a very horsey romance, like May up in this bitch, but it was really fucking cute and I really enjoyed it. All right, looking at my Goodreads rating, apparently I actually gave Off to the Races a 3-star rating, which actually makes sense to me. This is the first book in the series. I just didn't feel like it was super remarkable. I feel like there's a lot of implied romance rather than on-page romancing, and that's fine, especially for a debut romance. Like, this was a very solid one, but it's just not the best from Elsie, and so I feel fine putting it in B tier. Where to next? Let's do Jaspervale by Devney Perry. I think I gave this book 3 stars, so again, that would make it like B tier. This is a romance, I was gonna say Marriage of Convenience, it's actually Marriage of Inconvenience. Our heroine is trying to like prove to her family that she is hot shit and that she should run the family hotel, but unfortunately she gets married in Vegas to this guy who like she doesn't know at all, but he convinces her to stay married to him, and it's like a whole thing. It was cute. I liked the idea, I liked the premise, but the romance beyond some fucking just like wasn't really there for me, so 3 stars. I do like Devney, but again, I haven't had the best luck with her stuff this year, which is kind of a bummer. Where else can we go? There's so many books on this fucking screen, I just like don't even know where to go next. We're just pulling at random, which I think will probably bother some people, and I like that. Let's do some more Lucy Score. Fuck it. Things We Hide from the Light by A Thread. I did finish Things We Hide from the Light. Did I finish it? It's forgettable. I'll tell you what. It was also not good. Same with By A Thread. I actually DNF'd. I think both of these. Maybe I finished this one. I can't remember. And I feel like that says all you need to know about these books. Me and Lucy, just not besties. All right. If I have had bad luck with some of my favorite authors, I also had good luck with some of my favorite authors. I read quite a few books from Melanie Harlow this year, and she really did not let me down. She knows how to write a motherfucking romance. These are all, I think, age gap romances. No, I don't think Taste is. Taste is, I think, my least favorite of the 3. It is a romance between a heroine and her like mortal enemy, her like childhood enemy. It was cute, but it wasn't my favorite, but I did enjoy it. Shit, what did I rate this? I don't know. Apparently it was enough to warrant a 4-star read for me. There is a really like fun snowed in scene where they're kind of like stuck in a place where they've never been before. They have to share a bed. It's actually kind of romantic and cute. I really liked that. Ignite is one of my sexiest books of the year. This is a single dad romance. The heroine is like kind of swearing off love. The way this book is plotted and paced is fantastic. And also he's a really great dad, which like, duh. Like, of course he's gonna be a great dad, and of course I'm gonna be like suckered in by that. I liked Ignite a lot. I also really enjoyed Temp. This was also another 5-star Melanie Harlow for me. This has a plus-size heroine and a hero who's kind of going through a midlife crisis a little bit, and it was so fucking charming and like so fucking delightful. And I think this is unlike anything that I've ever read before, and it also kind of deals with the wedding industry. The heroine's trying to get into the wedding industry, opening her own plus-size bridal boutique. It was just a lot of fun to read. Like, I liked seeing both of these characters go on their own like separate career journeys, but also be so compatible and so cute. And there's also like some drama, because it's a small town romance too. Ooh, I liked it. I think you should pick it up. A book that I wish I hadn't read, The Wrong Bride by Katerina Mara. I need to give this author a second chance because I think it's unfair of me to say that like this was really bad. It was really bad. I mean, that's not unfair. It just is what it is. It was a bad book. Basically, I believe the hero is engaged to the heroine's sister, and the sister's like kind of evil. And I have read another book like that this year. This one right here, Black Swan Affair. The execution was bad. The back and forth was not fun. Surprisingly, the smutty moments were actually kind of fun, but like, no. I really feel like I should have kept a D tier on here because like some of these are definitely not as bad as the others, but like The Wrong Bride definitely was not it. It was not it for me. Neither was Find You Again by Ava Hunter. I'm gonna put this in C tier. This is one that like, actually, you know what? I'm gonna put it in the forgettable tier because it like wasn't bad. It just wasn't exactly good. It's a rock star romance. These two are estranged from each other. I think they grew up in the same small town. He makes it big and she doesn't. And I think she gets invited out on tour with him, but there's sort of like a history there. I don't know. It didn't work out for me. It wasn't my favorite. And the people that I got this recommendation from too, I think we're doing like a readathon for this series. and they didn't even like this book. So From Lukov with Love was a reread, and actually let's grab Wait For It from Mariana Zapata as well, because I think these are the only, nope, I was gonna say I think these are the only ones that I've read by her this year. There's 3 Mariana Zapatas on this list. From Lukov with Love is always gonna be an S tier read for me, and same with Culty. These are just fucking bangers. We have an age gap romance in Culty where she dates her soccer coach. It's a real slow burn. Like the romance doesn't come in until like maybe the last 20% of the book, but the other aspects of it are so charming that I overlooked it. And same with From Lukov with Love, although I will say the romance comes in a little sooner in this one. Ice skating romance, you know? Enemies to lovers romance, which we love. Wait For It. I don't know where to put this. This is a toughie for me because it was simultaneously boring and forgettable, but also like kind of bad. This, I can't really, no, I'm putting it forgettable. I can't honestly even remember the premise of this book except for like she is the guardian to, I believe, her deceased sister's children or something like that, which like, okay, fine, I'm cool with the heroine being the guardian, but the hero I just like didn't care about, and the story was really fucking boring. It was like her going to work and then her taking care of these kids and then back and forth, who cares? I certainly didn't. At least with From Lukov with Love and Culty, like you have fun careers in there, and I think that like helps a lot. So let's talk about Ice Planet Barbarians by Miss Ruby Dixon. This is a DBBC pick for this year. Hayden and I, my husband, we read it and we we kind of liked it. I'm putting this B tier. This was like technically a 3-star read for me. So yeah, I feel like that goes well with B tier, right? Basically, women get stranded on an island, planet, actually not an island, and they fuck some blue aliens. It's a good time. Audiobook narrator does a real fun country accent for the heroine. This has had the unfortunate outcome of my husband really taking the phrase third nipple and really running with it. Thanks, Ruby. A Not So Meet Cute by Megan Quinn. I also read another Megan Quinn book that looks very similar. Can we find it? This just in. Actually, it's 101 books now. Tallies up. I just keep forgetting the Kindle Unlimited books I read this year, I guess. A Long Time Coming and A Not So Meet Cute. A Long Time Coming, I was like kind of borderline for this one between a 3 and a 4 star. I think I'm gonna leave it at 3 stars, but this was a best friends to lovers romance, and it was fairly convincing. My only like real complaint about it was that it was too fucking long, but if you like really nerdy characters, you don't mind a little quirkiness, and you like hot sex scenes, I would recommend this. This actually had, I don't want to say remarkably hot sex scenes, but it's been a while since I've like read a book and been like, goddamn, this one I felt that way about. A Not So Meet Cute, on the other hand, I think I DNF'd. I can't 100% remember, but I think this is like an accidental pregnancy novel, and it's not my favorite. Megan Quinn has written some good stuff. That's just not a favorite of mine. All right, now we're moving to some stuff that it's been a while since I've read, so I'll be curious to see if I can remember everything. First, we have Fighting Silence by Ali Martinez. This is a book that I remember loving. It was like one of my first Kindle Unlimited romances and like indie romances I had any experience with. It's a fighter romance. The hero is, I believe, losing his hearing, and I believe it's like a childhood best friends to lovers thing, and I just thought this was like the best thing ever. But upon reread, the writing is really pretty bad, like pretty remarkably bad. Yeah, there's nothing else to say. Shucked by Kate Canterbury. I did DNF this one. I think had I finished this probably would have ended up being B or C tier. This one I was super excited about after finishing In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. In a Jam is a really fun, like, I was gonna say single dad. He's like the guardian to a young girl kind of romance. The heroine knew this guy in high school, and I guess he's been pining after her for a while, and she kind of barely remembered he existed. She is taking over a farm, and he's gonna help her do this, I guess. And they're gonna be like fake married, I think, as well. Like they're pretending to be married. I can't exactly remember, but it was really fucking good. This was an S tier novel. Shucked, unfortunately, really let me down because of the character dynamics. So in a Jam, there's this sort of like weird anger, I guess, on the part of the hero at the very beginning, which like I wasn't expecting. I really wasn't expecting, given how this book was pitched to me. And by the end of the book, he's very much like my wife, which like we all love that shit, right? Shucked kind of carries on with this sort of like mean man, and he never becomes less mean. Like the heroine, I think, is the hero's best friend's little sister, and she's opening her own restaurant with some friends, and he is taking over his family's business because his parents were like embezzling or some shit. It sounds fun, but he's a dick. Like he's a dick the entire time, and he is like sexually attracted to her, but it feels very incongruous. I just wasn't charmed by it. I had to DNF it. Hoping that the next book by her is more of a success. Another book that I did DNF actually was To Hate Adam Connor. I'm gonna put this right here. I love Ella Mays. I love Marriage for One, I believe is the title of my favorite book by her. But the opening to this, I did not gel with very much. It was confusing to me, and sometimes the internal dialogue for like Ella May's characters and also like Elena Armas characters that can like get to me is like not my favorite. Just kind of depends on my reading mood. So maybe I'll revisit at some point, but not anytime soon. All right, next up we got some Candy Steiner. Candy and I had a tumultuous relationship this year, shall we say. Hail Mary was a really delightful, sexy book. It was not quite the 5-star that some of the other books in her Red Zone Rivalry series have been, but it was still really solid. Like, I really enjoyed Leo and Mary's relationship. I liked that even though he really fucked up at the beginning of the book, he redeemed himself quite a bit, which was, you know, nice. I love a good redemption story. Meet your match and watch your mouth. However, Where to begin? Okay. Meet Your Match was sexy, but it was all fluff, no substance. The heroine's job in this book is so unbelievable. She's basically like in charge of social media, and I guess she is in charge of watching this guy. Like, she doesn't work for this man's hockey team. She works for like a PR kind of company. I don't even know what the fuck her job is. Social media consultant. And she's supposed to follow around this hot hockey player and take content of him. Everything about the setup of this was really unbelievable. He's also like really into pottery, I think. It's a book that tries to be more emotional than it actually is. There's a moment where I think she's like watching him sculpt clay, and then he moves towards having sex with her, and I'm like really just thinking about the intricacies of getting clay in one's cooch. So this was not a fave for me. Honestly, I'm gonna put this in B tier. Like, it was fine. I think I did give this book 3 stars. And then Watch Your Mouth, I unfortunately DNF'd because I was just sensing more of the same. It was different. It was definitely different than the last book in the series, but I unfortunately am seeing this like trend with Candy Steiner books, at least her past couple of ones, that are just all sex all the time and less focus on the romance. By contrast, an author who does sports romances that I find deeply romantic would be Liz Tomford. She really, I feel like, took the romance scene by storm this year with both Mile High and The Right Move. Mile High was super great, but I feel like I really felt the page length in that book, so to me, this was not like the perfect romance, but it definitely got me excited to read more of her stuff. It's a sports player and a girl. I honestly can't remember much about this book like I do. Like, I remember the relationship that takes place. I know that there's like dogs involved, which is super sweet, but nothing is going to take the place of The Right Move. Liz Tomford, god damn. This is one of my favorite books of the year. It is a really emotional romance between a really grumpy hero and a heroine who is recovering from a breakup from a long-term boyfriend. It's a fake dating relationship, which I'm really finding, especially with the books this year, that fake dating is just the name of the fucking game for me. If it's a fake dating book, there's like a 9 out of 10 chance I'm gonna love it, as evidenced by The Co-op by Tara DeWitt. I'm also gonna go ahead and grab Funny Feelings by Tara as well. Tara, I know you're not watching this, but you rock, and I really like your books. These both were really fantastic. Funny Feelings, I think, is the one that gets the most buzz. It is a romance between a comedian and her manager, who's a single dad. It's really sweet and really emotional and really tender, but I didn't connect with it maybe as much as I wanted to, and not as much as I did with The Co-op. The Co-op, y'all, is so charming. It's kind of giving like small town romance, married to convenience. I just really loved this book. I thought it was so good, and I couldn't be more excited for Savor It by Tara next year. I think she's an author that a lot of people have on their radar, and I think she is sort of setting the tone for these like emotional romances to kind of make a comeback, and I think people are really vibing with that. Someone who reminds me of Tara in some ways in terms of writing would be Hannah Bonham Young. I've read 2 books by her, Out on a Limb and Next of Kin. Next of Kin is gonna be C tier for me, and it's not because it was terrible, but it was, I believe, this author's debut, and there's a moment where the hero punches drywall, and that's a red flag for me. It's gonna be like an automatic like 2 stars if there's drywall punching. But Out on a Limb is one of, again, the most deeply romantic books that I've read this year. It is also one of the sexiest books I've read this year. I cannot remember the name of the heroine, but his name is Beau. I just love this book. They both have limb differences. They hook up at the beginning of the book, which is something that I always hate, and there's an accidental pregnancy, but somehow this is romantic and sexy. Make it make sense. She did that. Fucking amazing. S tier all the way. What else can we look at? Let's do some more sports romances with illustrated covers, shall we? First Down by Grace Riley, which I forgot to put on this list, and Behind the Net, both of which to me I think are very mediocre. Like, both were fine. I think Behind the Net I'm gonna put it C tier, First Down at B tier. First Down, think of like the most basic sports romance you can think of. There's a lot of I love yous, there's a lot of like really sweet romantic moments in this book, but like it just doesn't feel polished, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't feel fully developed. Not in a bad way. I guess I can say that at least there's not coming buckets like there is in Breakaway, but it just wasn't my favorite. And then Behind the Net, the setup is interesting in that like the hero is so intimidated by his love for this woman that he like can't even talk to her, which I think is kind of sweet, but it kind of fizzles quickly and turns into something that is just kind of boring and is a lot of sex. No, C tier for me. And then I'm looking at this, y'all, and I'm seeing a lot of shit I do not remember. Like Wrong for You. Don't know what that's about. Dante by Sadie Kincaid. Couldn't tell you what that's about. But let's put Champagne Wrath in there as well. I feel like I should move some stuff around so we're not looking at all this stuff kind of coming off of the tiers. Okay, you know, we can put Credence in C tier. I never thought I'd be doing that, but I think sometimes you revisit things and you realize what your tastes really are. You know, you realize maybe a story with consent issues like this is just not for you, and that's okay because a lot of people love this book and that's good for them. I don't think I love this setup either. I like that it's not what I choose. I like that the heroine does eventually decide on someone. It feels realistic to me, but I don't like who she chose. So, you know, that is what it is. Corrupted Chaos. Let's put in Forgettable. Blindsided by Amy Dawes. I think I rated this 3 stars. This is an interesting one. I believe that the hero is like Scottish. This is a friends to lovers romance, and I think that they both start seeing each other in a sexual light, and it was cute. It wasn't anything super remarkable, but I think this is a friends to lovers romance that a lot of people people recommend, and I thought it was fine. A book that I didn't want to like, but I did like, was My Dark Romeo by Parker S. Huntington and L.J. Shen. This is an incredibly unhinged book about a heroine who is basically like married to a man who doesn't like her and doesn't want to marry her, but he needs to marry someone, and she's basically his leverage, but she spends a lot of his money and is a total pain in the ass, and I was quite charmed by her, personally. I like the writing style of this author duo. I just thought it was a lot of fun, okay? Sometimes you just need fun. God, I'm looking at this and there's just like more and more stuff to add to this growing list of forgettable books. Mostly stuff by Shane Rose and Nicole Fox. I'm seeing that trend here. I don't remember The Third Basement. I actually might have DNF'd this book. I cannot entirely remember. A book that was unforgettable is Coaxing the Roughneck by Jessica Kane. In this book, our heroine, book is a strong word. In this sexual novella, we have our heroine who inherits an oil rig from her dad who just died, and she's going to, I believe, sell it, but there's a guy who basically lives in the rig, like kind of like an underground bunker, and he's gross and gruff, and she just wants to help him with his agoraphobia, and so she rides his dirty, greasy dick all the livelong day. If you've ever read a Jessica Kane book, you know what you're in for, which is an interesting time, a fun time. I can't in good conscience put this in forgettable and or DNF. It's not that. It is simply not that. Is it good? No. And I don't typically rate smut, but I actually think in some ways this book beats a lot of the shit in C tier. In the entertainment fact, you know what? We're putting this in B tier, and you know what? I don't care what that makes me. I'm letting my freak flag fly, okay? But I do still have a romantic heart. So let's talk about Like You Love Me by Adriana Locke. This is one of my favorite books that I read this year. This is another fake dating, marriage of convenience sort of story that I really loved. Adriana Locke is such an underrated indie romance author. I know that like she's not the most underrated person out there, I get that, but I feel like she could definitely be in the same league and talked about in the same way that a Liz Tomford or a Tara DeWitt are. I think her stuff is so well written, and again, it just kind of like slides under the radar. I need to read more from her backlist. Like You Love Me is so romantic. I think he's a vet and she's trying to renovate an old inn. By marrying him, she'll get some money to like renovate the inn, and he needs to look married so he can get this like vet job that he wants. It's really sweet. I really liked it. All right, switching gears a little bit, we have The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. This is one of the only, okay, I'm gonna put these side by side. One of the only mystery thrillers that I read from KU, and I feel like I need to do more exploring into the genres outside of romance in KU because there's so much offered in your subscription. Like both of these books, The Perfect Marriage and The Housemaid, are books that like so many people talk about. And The Housemaid I understand because it is not sophisticated in any way. It is not like the best written thriller ever, but goddamn if it wasn't a lot of fun. This book follows our heroine who is a maid hired by this unhinged woman who seemingly has the perfect life, but is just always unsatisfied with what the housemaid does, but she needs to keep the job because I think she recently got out of prison and this is like her only opportunity, and things get really fucking twisty from there, and it is a good goddamn time, let me tell ya. There's like this notion and or belief that you have at the beginning of the book that made me uncomfortable personally, but it quickly gets turned around, and ultimately I just had a good time with it, so 4 stars. The Perfect Marriage, on the other hand, was dog shit. It was so bad. She's defending her husband in court because he killed his mistress. It was one of the worst things I've ever read. Like, not only do you have to suspend your disbelief, but the end of this book is basically telling you, hey, everything that you thought you knew is wrong. None of this could happen in real life, but you're gonna fucking believe it because I'm telling it to you like this. It was insulting to the reader. It was terrible. I have a whole vlog on it, I'm pretty sure. So you can go watch that if you'd like, but goddamn, it was bad. In a similarly unhinged fashion. Actually, there's nothing similar about these two books. Secret Obsession by S. Mastery. What to say about this fucking book? This doesn't happen to the heroine in this book, but it is mentioned that one of her friends has a tracking chip under her skin put there by her boyfriend. The heroine, I believe, has a stalker, and her other stalker kills that stalker. Sometimes you just have to ask the question why, and that question is never answered. But if you want to read a book about, I don't even know what, this one exists. In the C tier is where it exists. I just like keep thinking of it as like an Apple AirTag, you know what I mean? Do you think she can like feel it under her skin? Anyway, God of Malice by Rena Kent is actually like kind of similar in some ways, similarly unhinged. Actually, we can put these two together because these two have this like non-consent thing I don't like. God of Malice, I can't remember exactly what the location is, but in the opening scene, heroine is scared out of her fucking mind. I think she's at the edge of a cliff, and some rando comes up to her and is like, suck my cock, and she's like, who the fuck are you? And he's like, don't ask questions or I'll fucking kill you and rip your guts open. And she's like, all right, guess I'm gonna get sucking. And then she sees him at school and she's like, oh, okay, he is a psychopath. I think they engage in more sexual activity. I don't get it. It's like a boarding school kind of romance sort of thing. C tier. No fucking way. Just not for me. Same with Haunting Adeline. Not that it is a unhinged sort of boarding school thing, but she has a stalker who invades her house and I think has non-consensual intercourse with her. So that's gonna be, I did actually DNF this. I'm gonna have to put this in DNF tier, but it was pretty fucking not good. Let's move on to lighter territory, shall we? Steal You Away by Victoria Ashley. This is the second time I've read this book. Actually, it might be the third time. Ooh, what's that say about me? Niche interest. I really like boyfriend's brother romance. Boyfriend's best friend or older brother's best friend. That's just not enough for me. Let's go all the fucking way. Let's be as unhinged as possible. And let's do I'm so in love with your brother. No. Yeah, I'm so in love with your brother. I'm so in love with my boyfriend's brother. Crazy. This one's so fun because heroine's dating this guy who's like fine. He's totally fine. But his younger brother is hot shit and everybody wants him. But he has been wanting her forever. And he's back in town. He's looking good as hell. And he is working at the food truck that is located at her grandmother's bar that she has inherited. And he's like, you know what, bitch? I'm gonna steal you away from my brother because I've wanted you this whole time. And he stole you from me. Even though I wasn't really old enough to date you yet. But like, I wanted you and he took you. So I'm gonna get back at my brother. And I'm gonna fuck you. And he does. And it's real great. It's real fun. I don't care what you say. I think this is so fun. I have previously put this in like, you know, the 3-star category, but I liked it more than all the 3-star books. So what does it say about me? I don't know. I'm not saying this is spectacularly written, but like if you need a good palette cleanser, I don't know why I said palette that way. You know what I mean. All right. Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. You know, she's that bitch. She really is. I love a good age gap romance. I love an age gap that convinces you that the age gap is no big deal. Unfortunately, Stealing Home couldn't do that convincingly, and I didn't like it. So I'm putting that one in C tier. It's an age gap romance. Heroine's older. Heroine is being domestically abused by her partner. She ends up dating her partner's student athlete. It was forgettable. Final Offer is a 3-star read for me. It was a book that existed. Hero is an alcoholic. Heroine has an alcoholic sister and has been in love with an alcoholic man her whole life, so she's kind of going fucking through it. But he gets his shit together and it's fine. It's not the best end to the series, but it was fine. Talking about fun ends, Morning Glory Milking Farm by C.M. Nascosta is a book that I read with Hayden this year for the DBBC over on Patreon. It is a Patreon exclusive video, so if you want to go see us talk about getting milked by a minotaur, or no, milking a minotaur. He doesn't do the milking, she does the milking. It's a book. It was actually kind of fun, you know what I mean? And it's weird to put it right after Final Offer since these books could not be more different, but if you crave that good white goo, I think that Morning Glory Milking Farm is actually pretty fun. Like, it shouldn't be as fun as it is, and it actually is kind of romantic despite it being very cum-centric. Lessons in Sin by Pam Godwin is a book that I barely remember, but I do remember disliking. I read 3 priest romances because I had just finished a rewatch of Fleabag, and that one was remarkably not good. It was not my favorite. Didn't enjoy it. He was great. It is what it is. I don't remember this Fiona Cole book. I feel like I need to do like a second tier down here of like forgettable books. So let's move these out of the way so we don't get it twisted, okay? Books that I did not forget. Black Shot by Kennedy Ryan and Hookshot by Kennedy Ryan. I enjoyed both of these books. When does Kennedy Ryan ever fucking let us down? She just doesn't. She just can't miss. I will say Black Shot was like a 3-star for me rather than a 4-star. I just wasn't totally sold on the romance between Lotus and I cannot remember the name of the hero. Black Shot, on the other hand, even though I think this is the one that people like the least because of the like, kind of cheating aspect of it, I really, really enjoyed. It felt really realistic, really raw. I liked the interactions between hero and heroine. I like how, I don't want to say persuasive he was, but he was very much like, you are mine and I love you. In, you know, other circumstances that might be creepy, but if anyone can do that, well, it's Kennedy Ryan. So I really liked Black Shot and I'm very excited for her new book that comes out next year. So it's on my radar. A book that's all fucking all the time, King of Battle and Blood by Scarlett St. Clair was fine. I think I'm gonna put this in B tier. Basically, heroine hates vampires, everybody hates vampires, but she ends up marrying one so that her family and like her kingdom doesn't get fucked. So like that's nice and all. And they have sex and she's like, don't suck my blood, but I think he eventually does. I don't know. It's a book. Another book that I DNF'd / don't remember a ton is The House Witch. This is, I think, like a fantasy romance kind of. It's sort of giving that Bookshop and Bone Dust series. What is it? I don't fucking know. I don't know what those books are, but you know the series everybody fucking likes, the cozy fantasy series. This was kind of similar. There's a witch in the house and he makes bread and stuff. Doing terrible. It's getting late, okay? I don't remember much about this book. We're putting it down here. I'm also gonna put Hideaway Heart by Melanie Harlow and Runaway Love by Melanie Harlow down here. You know, I had said earlier, like, oh, look at me having good luck with Melanie Harlow books. I did really enjoy the Cloverleaf Farm series. I don't think there's a single bad book in that series. I think I'm only missing one in terms of like having read all of them. But her new series, I'm not having a good time with, which is such a bummer, but I just like they're not really memorable romances. I feel like the sex, again, is like very heavy in these books and they don't feel as like polished, I guess, as the other one. So forgettable. I also do not remember reading Loving Mr. Daniels by Brittany C. Cherry. I do remember it being a student-teacher romance. I do remember it being similar to Slammed by Colleen Hoover, but I don't remember much else romance, and I think that's okay. All right, an authorial debut, Good Game by Madison Fox. Madison Fox is one of us, so if you thought I was gonna shit on her book, that's not gonna happen because it's actually really fucking good. I really liked this book. Like, not only is this written by a booktuber, but it's actually really good. I am glad that I can say that. Good Game is a gamer romance. Like, the heroine ends up with a famous streamer, but she doesn't know his identity, and it's like a whole thing. It was just a lot of fun. I feel like the romance and the smut were balanced. It gave me very much Anna Huang writing vibes, like for her first series, and I like that personally. So if you're looking for something that feels a little bit different and fresh, and you're not looking for just the same old football romance, I think like this would be fun because again, you've got a gamer rather than a hero who's in sports. We are getting there. Even with 100 romances, we're getting there. We've got quite the remainder here. Okay, let's try to power through. Whispers of You, I don't fucking remember. Unforgettable was forgettable. Rewrite Our Story by Kat Singleton, I remember enjoying, but sadly I don't really remember it. Same with Shutout by Avery Keelan. I actually am pretty sure that I DNF'd this one. Strangely, Brutal Obsession by S. Mastery, I'm pretty sure I gave 4 stars. Here's the thing, is it unhinged? Yes. Does he put a tracker under his girlfriend's skin? No. Does he kill people? Also no. Oh, also, I think I forgot to say, but in Secret Obsession, he puts a body in a freezer just for like funsies, and I didn't like that so much. I just don't think you should like sully the good meat freezer with your corpse, you know? Highest Bidder by Sarah Kate. This one, I hesitate to put this with like these books that I like enjoyed, but I feel like also the B tier books have such a mix of things, like some that I liked more than others. Highest Bidder was fine. Basically, it is a heroine who I believe doesn't even like work at the sex club. She just like bartends there or something. Like, she's not a sexual participant, and she meets this older gentleman there. He kind of falls for her, and I think actually he might house her for a little while, so it's like kind of a sugar daddy situation, which is kind of cool, I guess. She was a little pathetic for me. Not really into the pathetic girl 97 vibes. I don't know, just like not it for me. What is it for me is Meeting Millie by Claire Ashton. This is a female-female romance. I was searching out queer romances specifically on KU, and I need to do that more often because I have not been let down. It is with 2 slightly older women. They were friends for a while. They kind of stopped being friends. It's so good. It is both like steamy and deeply romantic. The steam doesn't come in until like the 100% mark basically of the book. I just feel like if you were looking for something sweet and something sexy, you should pick it up. That's all I have to say. I have a whole vlog on it, so I'm not gonna like wax poetic, but it's really good. I can't say the same for Coach by Devney Perry. This, again, it's like hard to put this in C tier because it's not like Lessons in Sin bad, but it's just boring and forgettable. Actually, you know what? Yeah, we're putting in forgettable tier because it's just, I don't fucking remember it. The Words by A. Jade, I actually did enjoy. This is a rock star romance where our heroine falls for a guy who is, I don't want to say a piece of shit. He's not a piece of shit. He's kind of sweet. In some ways, it reminded me a bit of Serenading Heartbreak if Serenading Heartbreak was good. You know, if you're looking for like a story that's kind of told over a period of time, I'm gonna pick up The Rules of Dating, My Best Friend's Sister. This is one that is a bit like analogous, I guess you could say, to, oh god, can I find it? A Long Time Coming by Megan Quinn. Just not as good. It's got that sort of like, you live next door, like let's bone, we're best friends kind of thing. He's like constantly trying to prove to the heroine that he's a serious prospect, and she doesn't really believe it. I don't know. I think there were just too many moments that felt kind of contrived, like, oh no, her car broke down, he has to help her, that sort of thing. It just like wasn't my favorite. And also he like constantly doesn't think he's good enough for her because I think her brother died, and it's like brother's best friend thing. I don't know. Meh. Wrong Mr. Right, I DNF'd. I liked the idea of this one. This is another Stephanie Archer book. I'm finding that I just like don't have the best luck with her books. I want to. There's definitely potential there. I just don't think I found my favorite book from her yet. And this is A Friends to Lovers, if anyone was curious. The Best Laid Plans by Miss Carla Sorensen. I'm actually going to put, I'm not gonna put it in A tier. I have to put it in B tier. And I don't have enough room in B tier. Okay, that's fun. Maybe if I just like smush these together. Yeah, we're just gonna smush it together. Okay. The Best Laid Plans is a book about a guy who's passed away and his best friend is bequeathed a house that is in dire need of renovation. He was in the process of renovating it, but he dies, so he can't renovate it, obviously. If you're dead, you can't do much. The heroine was in charge of helping renovate the house. That's kind of her job. She likes to restore historical buildings, and so they fall in love. And it is well done. Carla Sorensen is a fantastic author, but I felt like there was just something missing. Do you ever just read a book and you're like, I understand that technically this is good, but there's just like a little bit of heart missing? That's kind of how I felt about The Best Laid Plans. Not bad, not spectacular, and that's okay. Leo Loves Aries is so good. This is a tier book for me for sure. It's a male-male romance about 2 roommates who kind of get their heads out of their asses and like fall for each other. I believe the hero that moves into the other hero's house is like a TA for the hero like a couple of years ago. I don't know. This is just so good. I love Anita Sunday books. I feel like the whole Signs of Love series is really fun, and you get a lot of like himbo-y heroes, which I think is a fun change of pace. What's also a change of pace is Power by Cassandra Robbins. This is an age gap romance where the hero is older than the heroine, and he is fucking the heroine's mom, and then he sees her and he's like, I'd rather be banging you. Unfortunately, I DNF'd this book because is he basically sees the heroine having sex with her boyfriend and he's like, he's not doing that right. And basically like throws that guy off of her and starts eating her pussy. You're probably like, Chandler, why the fuck did you DNF that? It just wasn't for me, okay? The Player Next Door by K.A. Tucker, I don't really remember. I'm pretty sure I finished this one. That's it. I don't remember it. The Year We Hid Away, I vaguely remember, but I don't remember enough of it to put it any higher than the forgettable and or DNF category. I was gonna say it's wild how many of these there are, but you know what? In a given year, if you're reading a ton of books, like how many are you really thinking like, wow, this fucking rocked? Not that many, you know? I'm not feeling so bad. And then 3 remain. 3 very different books. Not so lucky, I don't know where to put. It was not my favorite, I'll be honest. I have enjoyed Trilina Pucci's books in the past. I think I'm going to put this in like C tier maybe. This is a romance where a heroine is in Vegas and she shacks up with a couple of professional football players and she does get her happily ever after. Like to me, this is like kind of between a B and a C tier. The reason that I'm thinking more C tier for me is because it's so sex heavy and I'm just not really a sex heavy girl, and that's okay. Real life does not reflect reality. I'll leave it at that, okay? Carnal Urges, something I have, by J.T. Geisinger. I fucking loved this. This is a mafia romance, I believe, where the heroine is like kidnapped by this guy, and it's a grumpy sunshine where she is the sunshine, obviously. The fact that she could be sunshine while kidnapped, I think just really says a lot about this author's like ability to convince me of things, because it's just so fun. I don't remember much about this except for the sex was hot and she was funny, the heroine, and it was just a good fucking time. It's like one of those books that against all odds just managed to impress me, and thank God for that. And then another book, of course, that really impressed me, Done and Dusted by Miss Lila Sage. Yeah, that's gonna be a motherfucking S tier book for me. Horse Girls, they get it done, you know? Country girls make do. I don't really know what to say about this book, because I'm gonna be honest with you, at this point in the night, I don't remember much about anything. Brain dead. Brain mush. Well, this is the final roundup, folks. I guess I'm adopting the country accent because all of the fucking books I liked. No, like so many of the books I liked are either small town romances or country romances or deeply romantic romances, and I feel like that fucking checks out, you know? A girl wants romance at her core. A girl wants things that are sweet and soft, and if you have sweet and soft recommendations that do have sex, you know, because I do like that, you can put them in the comments down below because I am always on the lookout for that. Also, let me know if any of these rankings surprised you. They didn't surprise me because I read the books and this is how I felt about them. I'm so glad that I did this. There's gonna be more tier ranking for me coming up quite soon here. If you didn't know, I read the 100 most popular books, romances specifically, of the past 3 years, and I'm gonna be doing a little video where I tell you which books are the best, and then I'm also going to tier rank them over on my Patreon. So if you're like not on Patreon, don't know what you're doing, you should be there, especially if you like this video. But thanks so much for watching. I love y'all so much, and I will see you tomorrow.